welcome to Think Future. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and once again we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation startups, the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when no show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcasts. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, you may not do this. But maybe you should think about doing it. I found that in my regular life, just doing what I normally do, going to places that I normally go to, talking to the people I normally talk with, I've noticed that I've had a way to zero in on the unusual. And I thought to myself, that's a really good skill for anybody who's interested in developing new products, in being more innovative, in creating new things, needs to have. Because the unusual is the thing that can then be applied to other areas to see what else can be done. I'll give you an example. So in order to slow down the amount of stuff that we've put out onto the planet, because I think I mentioned to you in a show a while back that they came out with a number saying that the human race has now created more stuff than the weight of the entire planet. So, and this is something I've done for a while, is shop at thrift stores. So instead of going to creating new stuff, I would go to a thrift store where I can buy something that's slightly used, but still good. And a lot of times, especially in this area, there's lots of designer stuff. So I'm in a thrift store and I see a shirt, cool looking shirt, nice colors, everything. And I realize that the buttons are not evenly spaced. The buttons are exponentially spaced, or slightly more. It's like the first button is like regular, 2 or 3 inches apart, and then the second button is like 4 inches apart, and then the fourth button is 5 inches away, and the fifth button is 6 inches away, and it's like the buttons were not placed evenly on the shirt. And I thought, wow, that's unusual. I have never seen a shirt like that before. I almost bought it, but it was a little too small for me. And then another thing that I came across one day. I was in a grocery store, and I go to this grocery store called Grocery Outlet, which is where it's kind of like an off-price place for groceries. It's where groceries that aren't really popular go to be finished. And they have a section where they have hummus, right? And typically when you buy hummus, it is, I don't know, garlic or onion or tomato or whatever, some kind of savory. So it's usually a savory hummus, right? But for some reason, I go in there and I see stacks and stacks and stacks of Snickerdoodle hummus. And I'm going, Snickerdoodle hummus? Who came up with that? That's unusual. So you see, these things are great examples of innovative things. They're unusual. Whoever was designing that shirt was designing it in an innovative way. You ever seen a shirt which had unequal distances between the buttons at the front? No, probably not. Unless you know of a manufacturer who does that or designer who does that. Or have you seen dessert hummus? Could you ever imagine sweet hummus? If you ask me, these are things that came out of somebody trying to do something different, something unusual, something innovative. So keeping an eye out for the unusual and being able to generate the unusual, if you ask me, is part of developing new products. Is that you need to some of these are disruptive and some of them won't be. Some of them will appeal to a market and some of them won't be. I mean, how do you define developing new products? You can either do something that's slightly incrementally different or slightly unusual. And of course, some people, they may not appeal. The unusual stuff may not appeal to them. But if it is unusual, then maybe there's some innovation in it. There's some interesting ideas there that you might not have thought of. So, most of us, if you're watching this channel, if you're a part of the innovators, if you're an innovator, you probably already are out there looking for the unusual. You're probably already out there looking for juxtapositions, which you can use to create new thinking, create new ideas, create new products. You're probably already doing that. So look out for the unusual. And if you look out for the unusual, maybe you'll find an interesting new twist for something that you're doing right now. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.